My friends are something special. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my friends very dearly, but sometimes they just do things that make me say, why? For what purpose did you do what you just did? And a perfect example of this was when my friend, let's just call him Jack, recommended that I should watch Chainsaw Man. Before I say anything else, spoilers for season 1 of Chainsaw Man. You have been warned. Yo, Jack, can I get that chicken pesto sandwich off you from the dining hall? Yeah, sure. Alright, cool. By the way, have you watched Chainsaw Man yet? Nah, that show's kinda trash, no? Dude, it's fire. You just have to give it a chance. Jack, just because everyone is watching it doesn't make it good. Everyone is watching it because it is that good, bro. I wouldn't lead you astray. Hey, you made me watch Violet Evergarden. That was not it, Chief. But I also recommended that you watch Magi, and we both know how much you like that show. That's true. Just give it a chance, man. I think you'll really like it. Bro, I got you. And one more thing. Text me when you watch episode 8. That's when it gets spicy. And so, with the instructions bestowed upon me by Jack, I began to watch Chainsaw Man. So, Chainsaw Man episode 1 didn't hit too hard for me because the setup for the show is like every anime in the 2020s. We find out our main character Denji was dealt a bad hand in life, and his parents died, leaving him with an enormous amount of debt to the Yakuza, which is basically the Japanese mafia. And this got me thinking, what was the last anime I watched where the main character's parents were alive for the entire show? I think the last show I watched where both the parents were alive was Mob Psycho. But that's still crazy to me because I watched that show a while ago. The next character we get introduced to is the Chainsaw Devil Pochita. And to be honest, I don't really mess with Pochita. I'll explain later on in the video why I actually don't mess with him, but for now, just know I don't like him. For those of you who have been following me for a little bit, y'all know I love Puck from ReZero. Pochita is like Walmart Puck to me, bro. He is not that guy. The way that Denji knows Pochita is because Denji saved his life by giving him his blood. In return, he asked Pochita to allow him to use his chainsaw to kill devils. He then gives the dead bodies of the devils to the Yakuza to help pay off his debt. One night, Denji is talking to Pochita in his room and he's like, Pochita, one day when I'm stress-free, I just want a girlfriend and I want to play video games with her. And then he says, you know what else I heard, Pochita? I heard university students put pesto on their chicken sandwiches. Pochita, I really want to try a chicken pesto sandwich one day. You see, even Denji's hip to the power of a chicken pesto sandwich. Do me a favor. Go out and find yourself a place that makes chicken pesto sandwiches and come back to me. Who knows? It might just change your life. Later on, the Yakuza boss pulls up to Denji's crib and says he's got a job for him. He leads him to an abandoned warehouse and Denji's like, yo, where the devil at? The boss replies saying, kid, you smell like rotten eggs. And one of his lackeys puts a sword through Denji and Pochita. Then we find out another devil, the zombie devil, formed a pact with the Yakuza because they were full of greed and wanted more power. The zombie devil then orders its minions to slice up Denji and Pochita and throw them into a garbage can. While they're in the garbage can, a little bit of Denji's blood trickles into Pochita's mouth and he heals up. From there, Pochita decides to fuse with Denji to revert all the damage done to his body and give him a second chance at life. Denji has a dream about Pochita. Pochita says, I gave you my heart, so I want you to show me your dreams, Denji. That's all I ask. Dreams are a very important theme in Chainsaw Man. Just keep that in the back of your mind for now. Denji wakes up from the dream and doesn't see Pochita. Then he looks down and he sees Pochita's tail sticking out of his chest. He pulls it and turns into the Chainsaw Man. This man, Denji, proceeds to ether everybody in that warehouse. The zombie devil, her Yakuza zombies, everybody was catching a fade that night. The next morning comes through and we see a car pull up to the warehouse where we meet the next character, Makima. She originally came to the scene to kill the zombie devil herself, but then she sees Denji in his Chainsaw Man form and figures out he beat her to it. Makima comes up to Denji and she says his smell is weird, like he doesn't smell like a human nor a devil. Denji requests to be hugged by her and she obliges. Then he turns back to his human form. After that, she gives him two options. Either he can die a devil or live as a human. And my boy Denji asks one question. He says, do you have chicken pesto sandwiches at your place? Makima replies saying, yeah, I have chicken pesto sandwiches at my place. I usually eat them with some chips though. Denji's like, sheesh, with the chips? I didn't even think about that combo. I'm in. So they hop into her car and Denji knocks out. Man is gassed. Denji reveals to the audience that he has this recurring dream where he's trying to open a door, but he never gets close to opening it as he always wakes up and forgets about the dream he just had. Alright, episode 2. When he wakes up, he gets a look at Makima and he's like,
she kinda bad though.
Denji gathers up the courage to ask her what her type is. Makima replies saying, I think I like Denji type of guys. They arrive at the Devil Hunter HQ in Tokyo, where they meet with Aki. Makima says Aki will be assigned with watching Denji from now on, which Denji's obviously not a fan of, but he does it anyway. As they go on patrol, Denji asks Aki if Makima has a boyfriend, but he ignores him. He asks him again, and Aki tells Denji to come into an alleyway with him. Aki turns around and socks Denji. Then he proceeds to keep punching him while he tells him to give up being a public safety worker, saying he's doing it for the wrong reasons. Aki then stops assaulting Denji and turns around to walk away. But little did Aki know, you do not simply walk away from Denji. Denji gets up and runs behind Aki. He yells at the top of his lungs, and then low blows Aki like he's Ric Flair. Denji then starts saying, I don't care who gets in my way, it's going to be me and Makima together, we're going to be playing video games and eating chicken pesto sandwiches. Aki's on the ground in pain like, man, she ain't going to do none of that with you, she don't even like you. Denji hits him with one more low blow for good measure, and then mentions how it sounds like Aki has a crush on Miss Makima as well. Transition to them going back to Makima's office. Makima looks at Aki and says, what happened to him? Without missing a beat, Denji says, his nuts got hit by the nut devil. Aki interjects and says Denji's lying and that he doesn't want to work with him. Makima reminds Aki that his group is an experimental unit and that Denji is special because he can turn into a devil. But she also says, if Denji steps out of line, I give you permission to kick him in the nuts. To death. Aki looks at Denji and yells, woo! And Denji starts sweating profusely. Cut to Aki's apartment and we see Denji getting himself situated. As night falls, Aki tells him to be ready because they have a fiend to kill tomorrow. Tomorrow comes and the two enter the crime scene. Denji asks Aki what a fiend is. Aki explains that a fiend is when a devil takes over a human corpse. When they finally get to the room, they see the fiend that caused the crime. Aki tells Denji to transform so he can accurately gauge his strength. But Denji turns to him and says, boy, and swipes the fiend's head off clean with an axe. Denji's reasoning for not transforming was that he didn't want to hurt the fiend and made it as painless as possible. Little do we know, Aki's whole family was murdered by a devil, so he doesn't play when it comes to this lifestyle of killing devils. Aki then asks Denji if he's trying to be friends with the devils, and Denji says he's open to the possibility. Aki leaves the room saying, I'll remember that. As Denji looks out the window in the room, he starts thinking of how much his life has improved. But then he thinks about what his current dreams are, and I'm gonna give you all the censored version. He wants to go on a date with Makima. That's his dream. Very pure, very innocent. Denji and Aki link up with Makima where she tells them they're getting a new teammate, a fiend named Power. Makima tells Power and Denji that they will be going on patrol and that they need to produce results. So they go on patrol and apparently Power went on a kill streak because she got the UAV location of the devil. This woman Power jumps off the roof like Jordan and smashes the devil she just found with a blood hammer she formed. Blood splatters everywhere, and at this point, Denji's tight. He's like, yo, why am I stuck with her? She's finna get me in trouble with Makima. But then he gets a good look at Power, and he's like, she kinda bad though. So he decides to put up with her. Episode 3 starts off with Makima showing up to the scene while people clean up the blood on the streets. Makima says, what did I ask you two to do? Power jumps in and says, the demon is vanquished. We have produced. Makima says, no. You two didn't produce. You two made a mess on the produce aisle. Clean up on aisle 7. On top of that, had that been a civilian hunter's devil, Power, you would have been charged with obstruction of a hunter's business. And you would have been arrested. Makima finishes with, Denji, I need you to keep Power in check. And Power, I need you to have Denji's back. Think you both can do that? Later on, Denji says to Power, listen, if things keep going on like this, we won't live to see the end of the week. Power was petting a stray cat when she said, I only enjoy being with cats. I couldn't care less about any humans, nor devils. Then she says, I really hate devils because one of them took my cat, Meowie. And before I could get the cat back, Makima took me in. But I still have hope that Meowie is still alive. Denji says that it's stupid to risk your life to save a cat, but if it were a dog, he'd understand. He then says he'd do anything if he could go on a date with a girl. Power says that if Denji helps her save Meowie, then she'll go on a date with him. And he's like, yeah, I bet. They arrive at the house where the devil is located, and then Denji realizes that the devil will probably use Meowie as bait, so Power shouldn't have even come with him in the first place. But before he can react, Power knocks him out and brings his body to the room of the Bat Devil. The Bat Devil makes Denji cough up blood so he can drink it to heal his missing arm. Power says, okay, I brought you human blood. Let me get my cat back. The Bat Devil double-crosses her and eats Meowie. To say Power was devastated at this point would be an understatement. She loses all the strength in her body, and before she gets eaten by the Bat Devil, she turns to Denji. She says, I now understand how it feels to not be able to pet your dog anymore. It's not a good feeling. The Bat Devil eats Power and flies away from the house, but he feels something on his body and sees Denji sucking his blood to heal his wounds. Denji cuts off one of the Bat Devil's arms and they both fall into the city. The Bat Devil asks Denji why he's attacking him, as Power sold him out. Denji responds, and she's the same sellout that's going to be my ticket to get my first date. Then he sends that man to the Shadow Realm. Episode 4 starts off with Power waking up to Denji holding herself and Meowie in his arms. Power looks at Denji confused, saying, Why did you save me? I set you up to die. Denji's like, Yo, I was on the phone for like 3 hours reserving us a spot for our date tonight. You ain't going nowhere. Power shakes her head and looks down at Meowie. You saved Meowie, so I'll do whatever you want. Denji's so hyped, he raised his fist in the air. But as he does that, his arm gets shaved clean off. He turns around and sees the Leech Devil chewing on his arm. Then the Leech Devil starts talking smack, saying, Oh my god, you killed my man. How can you do that? Blah, blah, blah. Denji cuts her off and says, Listen, I do not care about you or your boyfriend. Matter of fact, this might as well be a Popeye drive-thru, because you and your boyfriend finna be in my 2-piece combo. Denji starts to go to work on the Leech Devil, but that boy gets waxed, Mr. Miyagi style. Right as Denji's about to get eaten, Aki pulls up with his contracted Fox Devil and orders it to eat the Leech Devil, saving Denji in the process. Aki also came in with some new Devil Hunter recruits to the scene. We'll come back to them later. Denji wakes up in a hospital room with Aki, who's currently peeling apples on a plate. Denji reaches for the plate, but Aki pulls it away and asks him where he and Power went. Denji starts playing dumb and tries to cover up for Power, but Aki's not going for it. Aki then pushes the apples towards Denji and says he'll forget everything that happened if he listens to him from now on. Denji agrees and Aki walks out of the hospital room. Outside, Himino, Aki's Devil Hunter partner, is waiting with Power in her custody. Aki releases Power, but Himino warns him that if Power kills someone, he will be responsible. Aki responds by saying that if devils and fiends can be of use to Devil Hunters, then they should make use of them. At night, Aki makes a stop to Makima's office to give her a detailed report of what happened. Makima thanks Aki for the report, but she questions how Power and Denji got so far without anyone noticing. Aki replies by saying that they shouldn't worry because there were no fatalities. Makima accepts that fact, but she notes that Denji has had an effect on him, that he seems more flexible. Aki denies this, and just as he's about to leave, Makima tells him that she needs him to let Power and the newly rescued Meowie move into his apartment with him and Denji. Power may or may not be the worst roommate ever. She would not take showers, flush the toilet, nor eat her veggies. The third one had me because that's how I know Power didn't watch Popeye growing up. As Denji unclogs the toilet that Power clogged, Power knocks on the door and asks Denji if he's ready for their date. Episode 5 opens up with Denji and Power on their date, but something feels off. They went to the movies, had dinner, the whole 9, but it just didn't feel right to Denji. The following day, Denji's signing some documents when Makima notices he looks sad, so she asks him what's wrong. He talks about his date with Power and how disappointed he was afterward because he didn't feel anything. Makima grabs his hand and looks him in the eyes. She tells him that the more you know a person, the better a date feels. Then she changes the subject and talks about the baddest devil out there, the Gun Devil. She talks about how the Gun Devil originated in America and that it killed over 1 million people in 5 minutes. With that being said, she thinks that Denji can defeat the Gun Devil. If he does beat it, she promises to grant him one wish. While Denji is losing his mind over the potential of going on a date with Makima, we cut away to a young Aki playing with his brother. His brother starts to feel cold, so Aki tells him to go inside. When he does, the whole house gets blown away, killing not only his brother, but also his parents who are also inside. Back to Makima's office. She explains that in order to find the Gun Devil, they've been collecting pieces of his flesh that will eventually point to the devil once enough pieces are gathered. Because the Gun Devil moves so fast, its flesh falls off, so hunters can collect pieces that way, or they collect it from killing other devils who eat the Gun Devil's flesh for a power boost. Public Safety gets a new mission that involves a hotel where a bunch of devil hunters went in to never come back out. Public Safety thinks that the devil inside the hotel ate one of the Gun Devil pieces, so they assign a 6-person team to investigate. The team consists of 3 duos, Power and Denji, Himeno and Aki, and 2 new faces, Kobeni and Hirokazu. As they're reaching the front of the building, Power and Denji are talking mad trash to Aki, saying, yo, you look like a default video game character, you're ugly, you get no girls. They're laying it on him. Aki turns around and gives them each a piece of gum, and Denji says, my fault, big bro, and Power says, my liege. Hirokazu looks at the 2, and then looks at Aki and says, surely we're not going in with these 2. I don't think I could trust them to watch my back. Aki replies by saying, they won't be watching our backs. It's like Valorant. They're the duelists, and we're gonna bait the hell out of them so we can kill the devil. And if they step out of line, feel free to kill them on the spot. Himeno chastises Aki for being too hard on the rookies, and then says that whoever kills the devil inside the hotel first will go on a date with her. At first, my boy Denji's gassed, but then he remembers his conversation with Makima and says he's all set. Then he tacks on that dates only feel good when you go with someone you know really well. Himeno snickers to herself and then whispers in Denji's ear, "We can get chicken pesto sandwiches during the date if you want." Denji is beyond happy at this point and rushes into the hotel first. Hirokazu follows close behind Denji, nagging him about how it would be immoral to go on a date with his mentor. Aki wonders aloud if the rookies are any good, and Himeno states that Hirokazu is driven but not strong. On the other hand, Kobeni is skilled but too scared to make use of her strength. Aki says they're both either going to die or quit, no in between. And Himeno replies, "Aren't you Mr. Smiley today?" After that, though, Himeno tells the gang to stay on guard as the devil is approaching. Out of one of the hotel doors walks a grotesque devil with only a head and hands to move with. It jumps up to attack Kobeni, but Himeno uses her ghost hand ability to stop it. Basically, she made a contract with the ghost devil to be able to use its hand in exchange for her eye. While Himeno chokes out the devil, Power forms a blood sword and cuts the devil in half. Power is hyped and says, "It was so scared of my aura, it froze." Himeno then says that that's not the case and explains her power to Power. You like that? You see what I did there? No? Alright, keep going. Himeno asks Aki if that was the devil that they were looking for, but he shakes his head as the gun devil piece they brought into the hotel does not move an inch. As they're walking up the stairs, Hirokazu notices the same blood stain on a door that was on the previous floor. He then goes down the flight of stairs only to end up on the top of the stairs. Everyone now looks at one another realizing something ain't right. The title for episode 6 is Kill Denji. I wonder what's going to happen in this episode. Himeno stares at Hirokazu for a moment, then she tells Kobeni to make peace signs and stay still. Himeno goes downstairs only to end upstairs with Kobeni holding the same pose. Aki and Denji check the rooms and realize each room linked to one another and that they were stuck on the 8th floor. Denji gets mad at Power because when she killed the head devil, it could have set a spell that trapped them in the hotel. Power retorts that Denji forced her to kill the devil, which is straight cap, and they start bickering like siblings. Aki interjects and states that a devil's power disappears once it dies, so Denji's theory is debunked. Kobeni starts crying, saying that they're all gonna die in the hotel, and that she was forced to be a devil hunter to send money to her family so her smart brother can go to university. Power, being the goofy goober that she is, notices Kobeni crying and starts laughing maniacally. Denji, realizing that there's little that the group can do, decides to go to sleep. Later on, Himeno wakes up Denji to fill him in on the current situation. They find some leftover rations and figured out that the water and electricity are still running. Aki went out searching for the devil, Hirokazu was having a mental breakdown, and Kobeni was so out of it that she started drinking out of the toilet bowl until Himeno knocked her out. However, Himeno says the most troubling one is Power. Denji takes a look at Power, who's monologuing to herself. She says that she's gonna go win a Nobel Prize, kill the Prime Minister, make the sales tax 100%, and ultimately become a dictator. Denji turns to Himeno and says that this is normal for Power, and Himeno is relieved. The trio go to the room where Hirokazu and Kobeni are staying to ensure their safety. Denji notes how Himeno smokes the same brand that Aki does. She responds saying that she was the one who taught Aki how to smoke. She starts to reminisce of when she and Aki first became partners. Aki originally was opposed to smoking, but after some bonding with Himeno, he opened up to the idea. Back to the present. Aki comes in the room with an update. He found the devil and it is increasing in size by the minute. The gang goes outside to see this huge mound of flesh, which turns out to be the devil keeping them trapped on the 8th floor. The devil, which is known as the Eternity Devil, offers them a proposition. If they offer Denji's life, the devil will let the rest of the gang escape safely. Kobeni got her knife out, ready to kill Denji, but Aki and Himeno disarm her. Himeno tries to harm the devil with her ghost hand, but the devil just regenerates its body and says that its core is located somewhere else in the hotel. Denji says that it'll probably still kill the gang after killing Denji, but Himeno replies that it has to uphold a contract. The first to break the contract between a devil and a human immediately dies. Hirokazu is still on board with the Kill Denji plan. Power adds that she can't win her Nobel Prize inside the hotel, so she also agrees with the plan. Himeno and Aki veto the plan and spend time contemplating the next move. Aki says if worse comes to worse, he'll use his sword, but Himeno rejects that idea since using it decreases his lifespan, as per his contract with the devil. Meanwhile, Hirokazu found out that Power ate all of their food rations, and Kobeni is going ballistic. She starts pointing fingers at Power and then accuses Hirokazu of being a spy. Aki decides he's had enough of this and reaches for his sword. Himeno pulls out her ghost hand to stop Aki from grabbing the sword, while Hirokazu holds down Denji so Kobeni can stab him. Somehow, Aki contorts his body to take the blow for Denji. He then states that he doesn't care if Denji lives or dies, but that Denji wants to kill the gun devil. Aki knows he can't kill the devil alone, so he needs as much help as he can get. Denji looks at Power and asks her to try her best to keep Aki from bleeding out using her Blood Devil abilities. Kobeni chimes in that the group wouldn't be in this situation if Denji had sacrificed himself to the devil. Denji just looks at Kobeni and says, "What have you done this whole mission other than harm your teammates and complain that you don't want to be here?" Alright, Denji didn't say all of that, but I know everyone watching this video is thinking that right now. What Denji actually says is that he'll sacrifice himself, but he ain't going down without a fight. He then reminds Himeno not to forget about their date, and then jumps into the hallway to fight the Eternity Devil. Episode 7, we finally get to see Denji fight the Eternity Devil. Denji and the devil begin trading blows, but Power yells to Denji that he's losing too much blood, and his chainsaw will retract if he doesn't get a refill. Hearing this, Denji starts biting off the devil's flesh so he can continue the fight. While Himeno is watching Denji fight, she thinks back to a conversation she had with Kishibe, her mentor. Kishibe states that the best devil hunters are those with a few screws loose and no screwdriver. He adds that the reason all of her previous partners died was because they were sane. Sane people fear devils, which means those people have no chance of killing devils because all devils' powers increase through human fear. Later on, Himeno asks Aki if he wants to become a civilian devil hunter to live a calmer life with her, but Aki refuses. Himeno then says if Aki fights the gun devil, he will die because he's a sane human being like everyone else. Coming back to Denji, the devil knocked Denji down and believes that it won. Just then, Himeno uses her ghost hand to pull Denji's cord to spring him back to life. Denji gets the idea to keep eating the devil's blood to become invincible and continues to fight for 3 days straight. That boy Denji was not playing. He pulled out the combos for this matchup. Himeno saw how crazy Denji was acting and thought that maybe he could kill the gun devil. The Eternity Devil shows Denji its heart so Denji can finally end its suffering. Denji kills the devil and the gang walks out with Denji holding a piece of the gun devil. After they get settled, Himeno meets up with Aki to organize a party for their division, Division 4. She tells Aki it could be good because they could figure out what to do with the rookies who are thinking of quitting because they're both afraid of devils and are also remorseful for selling out Denji. Aki says if they do it, they have to do it this week since Makima is going to be out of town the following week. Himeno thinks about why Makima is so invested in Denji. Usually she's out of town, but she spent a lot of time in Tokyo after she picked up Denji from the warehouse. She wonders if there's something Makima is hiding about Denji from the rest of the group. Denji gets a call from Aki about the function and that Makima is going to be there. Denji's face gets red and he realized he needs some drip, so he jumps on StockX and gets the goods. Denji arrives to the function and everyone's drinking and chatting it up. He sees Himeno, who is visibly intoxicated, and she says, "I hope you didn't forget about our date." Denji replies, "Nah, how could I forget?" Then Makima appears right behind him saying, "Forget about what?" Denji's shocked to see Makima, but he's quick on his feet. He says, "How can I forget the gun devil piece we secured during the mission? It was a crazy fight. Wish you could have seen it." Makima states that she read the report on the mission already. Aki interjects and talks about the surge of devils with gun devil pieces. He adds that the Eternity Devil even targeted Denji in particular. He asks Makima if she knows a secret about Denji, and she replies that she'll answer all of his questions if he can outdrink her. Himeno joins in and the three start chugging beer, and one thing leads to another and Himeno vomits all over my man Denji's drip. I mean, this man had the big red boots on, and all that money went down the drain. Denji looks down at the boots and he is so disgusted that he starts vomiting. Hirokazu accompanies him to the bathroom and Denji just keeps vomiting into the toilet. Hirokazu then says, "Hey man, at least you're a really good devil hunter. What you did the other day was incredible. I wish I could be in your shoes." Denji replies, "Bro, look at me. The girl who was gonna take me out on a date vomited on my MSCHF Big Red Boots, bro. If you want to be in my shoes so bad, I'll give you the boots." Hirokazu quickly denies his offer. Just as he does that, Himeno snatches Denji from the bathroom and brings him to her apartment. We finally arrived at episode 8. If you remember, this was the episode that Jack said it gets spicy. I'm not that good with spices as evidenced by this photo, but I'm thinking to myself before the episode starts, how spicy could it be? Okay, so Himeno leads Denji into her apartment and she goes straight for the kitchen. Denji, who's still a bit woozy from throwing up earlier, asks Himeno what she's doing. She replies that she's bringing out the ingredients to make a chicken pesto sandwich for her and Denji. In his mind, Denji's conflicted. On one hand, he could achieve his goal to eat chicken pesto sandwiches with a girl, but on the other hand, he still has feelings for Makima. But luckily for him, Himeno passed out on the floor from fatigue before she could start cooking. But in his mind, he apologized to Pochita for not going for his dreams. But he states that he wants to make sandwiches for the first time with Makima. The morning comes and Denji and Himeno are having a conversation outside. Himeno asks him if they made any sandwiches last night. Denji replies saying no, that he wants his first time making sandwiches with someone to be with Makima. Himeno, relieved from the news, strikes up a deal with Denji. She'll set him up with Makima if he sets her up with Aki. Denji agrees and it's a feel-good moment for the pair as they look positively towards the future. Let's turn our attention towards Makima. She's on the train to Kyoto to meet up with her bosses. The train enters a tunnel, and when they come out of the tunnel, everyone else on the train stands up and the person sitting behind Makima shoots her point blank in the head with a pistol. Makima is dead. One of the men on the train dials a number and tells the person that they can start the operation. All across Tokyo, members of Division 4 are out on missions where they all get guns pointed on them. Even Kobeni and Hirokazu had a gun pulled out on them by a woman who's old enough to be my grandmother. Denji, Himeno, Aki, and Power are eating at a ramen shop when Denji hears a gunshot outside. He brings it to the group's attention, but Power says it's just drums playing outside and that there's nothing to worry about. A man in the ramen shop criticizes the group for eating such poor quality food. Denji replies that the food tastes fine, and this was the opportunity for this man to go on a rant. He talked about how his grandfather used to take him out to the best restaurants, and how even though he was in the Yakuza, he only killed a handful of women and children, so he was a necessary evil. The man pulls out a picture of his grandpa, and Denji stops eating because he realizes the picture is of the Yakuza he killed back in episode 1. Denji asks the man what his problem was, and the man simply replies that the gun devil wants Denji's heart and shoots Denji in the head and Himeno in the chest. Power uppercuts the man in the face, and Aki calls for the Fox Devil to eat the body of the man with the gun, which rips the roof off of the ramen shop. Power rushes over to grab the body of Himeno, while an unresponsive Denji lays in the corner with a visible gunshot wound to the head. The Fox Devil then tells Aki he gave it something horrible to eat. The prey was neither human nor devil. The man in the mouth of the Fox Devil soon chops his way out of the fox's mouth with a transformation similar to Denji's chainsaw form. However, the man had katana sticking out of his body instead of chainsaws. Aki sees this and decides it's time to use the sword that cuts away at his lifespan. With each slash he takes at the katana man, he counts down from 3 to 2 to 1. He gets knocked away when the devil associated with the sword, the cursed devil, says 0. Aki then yells at the cursed devil to kill Katana Man, which it does swiftly. Aki then looks back at Himeno and Power and asks about Himeno's condition, and Power replies that she needs urgent care immediately. Then Aki starts thinking about how that man got a gun in the first place, since only police officers and devil hunters are allowed to have guns in Tokyo. But before he can figure out an answer, a woman appears and she guesses Aki's sword is linked to the cursed devil. Aki asks the woman if she's on the same team as the Katana Man, but she ignores him and revives the Katana Man. She scolds him for letting his guard down and tells him to finish off Aki this time. The Katana Man moves at an insane speed and appears behind Aki. A few seconds afterward, the blow strikes and Aki is bleeding out on the floor. Himeno looks at Power and tells her to help him, but she refuses as she couldn't even follow the Katana Man's attack. Himeno then realizes she's out of options and sacrifices her entire body to the Ghost Devil to defend Aki from being killed by the Katana Man. The Katana Man eventually kills the Ghost Devil with the help of the mysterious woman, and Aki turns towards Himeno with only her clothes and eye patch remaining. So I finish episode 8 and call Jack to yell at him for recommending Chainsaw Man to me. He doesn't even pick up the phone, so I text him instead, and all he does is send one singular meme making fun of Himeno's death. I am livid, because I wasn't interested in the show in the first place, and now I have to finish it. I can't just stop without knowing what happened to everybody that died, but the thing is, at the time, I was watching the dub, so I had to wait a week for episode 9. And every single day that I saw Jack in class, he would just give me the goofiest grin and say, I can't wait for you to watch the next episode. And eventually Chainsaw Tuesday came, and so with it came episode 9. We find out the mysterious woman who helped the Katana Man is named Akane. As Akane finished using the Snake Devil to defeat the Ghost Devil, Katana Man notes how the fiend, Power, ran away. She replies that the fiend is none of their concern. The only thing that they need to obtain is the heart of the Chainsaw Man. Suddenly, the Ghost Devil pulls the string in Denji's chest, and he turns into the Chainsaw Man again. Denji and the Katana Man begin to trade blows while Akane calls for backup. When backup arrives, they try to shoot at Denji, but Denji grabs one of the men and holds him as hostage. The Katana Man begins to cower down, and Denji thinks he's got the W in the bag. But just as he's about to say something else, the Katana Man slices Denji and the man held hostage in half. Katana Man picks up Denji by the handle, and then says that his whole team should be dead by now since they can't fight against guns. We cut to multiple members of Division 4 who are dead, including Hirokazu. Back on the train, Makima is still dead on the floor with blood covered all over her face. The men on the train who killed Makima state that they need to prepare to blend in with the crowd as the train is soon arriving at stop. One of the men turn around and they see Makima covered in blood just smiling at them all. At the Kyoto train station, 2 guidance members named Kurose and Tendo are there to meet Makima when her train arrives. A man approaches the duo to tell them that many divisions in Tokyo were shot at, and the two wonder if Makima was also involved. When the train comes into the station, Kurose and Tendo see passengers screaming in terror as they run out of the train. And then Makima walks out of the train, explains that there was a shooting on said train, lunch is cancelled, and she needs both of them to clean up the dead bodies that are on the train. So Makima killed every one of her attackers on the train and tells Kurose and Tendo she wasn't shot at once. They catch her up to speed about all the shootings in Tokyo, and she tells them that they're probably after Denji. She then orders the two to gather some convicts of terrible crimes and to bring them to a shrine with a high altitude. Some time passes and we finally see Makima at the top of the shrine with Kurose, Tendo, and the convicts. We then see Akane's goons bringing Denji's body into a van. One of the men in the crew looks at a crow on top of a building and says he's starting to feel weird. Everyone around him looks at him like he's crazy, but he insists that there's something going on. A few moments later, his body implodes and blood explodes everywhere around where he was standing. Akane jumps on the walkie-talkie and asks if Makima was confirmed to be dead. The person on the other end says he can't reach the team that was tasked with killing Makima, and right after saying so, he implodes. Back at the shrine, Kurose, Tendo, and the convicts are all wearing blindfolds. Kurose wonders aloud why they have to wear blindfolds, but Tendo lets him know that Makima is a high-ranking official. Because of that, no one of their rank is allowed to know what type of devil contract she has. Makima then looks at one of the convicts and tells him to repeat the name Shuzo Mishima. He does so, and Makima gains a devilish smile on her face. And you know what she does next? She starts doing ninjutsu with her hands, you guys. This the long-lost Uchiha we never knew we needed. Makima Uchiha. She even unlocked her Rinnegan. She ready to go. Katana Man orders Mishima, the same name Makima just said, to bring Denji into the car. Soon afterward, he also implodes. Makima then proceeds to say the name of all of Katana Man's teammates except Akane, leaving the duo surrounded in a pool of blood. Makima then tells Kurose and Tendo to take off their blindfolds, and the two see every convict they brought up to the shrine dead. Makima then says she's done everything she can do on her end, and that she's on her way to Tokyo. Akane and Katana Man are furious and figure that Makima was the one behind the deaths. Then the two see a figure in the distance. Kobeni. Earlier, the grandmother that was shooting at Hirokazu and Kobeni managed to shoot Hirokazu in the neck. He then jumped in front of Kobeni to protect her. He was then shot in the head. Kobeni then turns into a savage and grabs Granny's gun and aims it at her head, ultimately killing her. Now, Kobeni has a knife and a walkie-talkie and she is not playing games. Akane, not wasting any time, calls out the Snake Devil, but Kobeni runs on that snake like Goku on Snake Way. Katana Man pulls out a pistol, but Kobeni dodges and slices the man's hand clean off. Then she grabs the gun from the arm she sliced off and put a few more in him for good measure. Akane grabs the gun, but Kobeni grabs Denji and uses my man like a riot shield. Akane, realizing she's at a disadvantage, brings Katana Man in the van and zooms away as Kobeni shoots at the vehicle. Kobeni looks down at Denji and tells him that she's sorry for trying to kill him in the hotel. Then she starts laughing and crying hysterically as she's trying to apologize for a terrible crime such as attempted murder. She then remembers that she killed the grandmother earlier and also Hirokazu died protecting Kobeni, in which both deaths she blames herself for. This makes her announce that she's going crazy and that when she sees Himeno, she will tell her she quits. At the Tokyo train station, Makima, Kurose, and Tendo meet with Madoka, one of the devil hunters that was at the function a few episodes back. Madoka informs her that every division in Tokyo got hit and that because of the deaths, every division will be fused into one. This also means that Makima will be in control of this division. Madoka also lets her know he's resigning, because if not, he will end up dead. Before Makima leaves, Madoka asks her how many of the attacks in Tokyo she anticipated. She responds saying that she can't speak about public safety internal affairs with a common citizen, and thanks him for his service. Kurose and Tendo let Makima know that they're not interested in joining her division, and that they're only in Tokyo to advise her. Makima, disappointed, responds, "What a shame. There are many restaurants in Tokyo that are to die for." So, episode 9 MVP, Makima. Episode 9 MIP, Kobeni. I see Jack in school and he's like, you like it now, huh? And I say, Jack, I don't even know what I feel anymore. All I know is I'm too deep into the murky waters to stop swimming. I gotta see this through. Episode 10 has Aki waking up in the hospital with Denji and Power in his room. Denji and Power have begun to form a sort of sibling rivalry as every conversation tends to end up in an argument. This situation is no different, as Power commands Denji to give her an apple so she can eat, but Denji's mad at her for leaving the battlefield, so he keeps the apple. Aki asks how many other people survived from Division 4, and Denji explains that Madoka survived, but he quit, so the only remaining survivor was Kobeni. Denji then says Makima called for Power and him in her office for some business, so they leave and Denji gives an apple to Aki as a parting gift. Aki pulls out his cursed sword and asks it how many years he has left to live, and it replies saying 2 years. Aki goes to light a cigarette, and then thinks about Himeno, which makes him cry. Denji attempts to go back in the room because he forgot something, but stops when he hears Aki crying. Denji understands why Aki is crying, but then he realizes that there's no one that would cause him to cry if they died. He wonders if he lost his human heart, but ultimately decides not to sweat the small stuff. Power and Denji finally make their way to Makima. At the same time, Kurose and Tendo enter Aki's room to advise him as per Makima's request. Power and Denji meet up with Makima in the cemetery where she introduces the two to Kishibe, Himeno's old teacher. After the recent assault on the Tokyo division, Makima realizes that their enemies are after Denji, so she needs to make sure that they will be ready for the next fight. Before Makima can properly introduce Kishibe, he cuts her off and asks Power and Denji a few questions. First, he asks them how they felt about their comrades dying. Denji's like, it's whatever, and Power's like, I thought to myself, oh, they're all dead now. Kishibe then asks a following question. Are the duo on the side of humanity or the devils? Denji says, whoever's taking care of me, and Power says, whoever's winning. Kishibe tells the duo that they both answered the questions correctly, and then tells Makima that they are rare breeds. He lets Power and Denji know that their training will start soon and tells Makima to leave. Kishibe introduces himself as a devil hunter from Division 1 and hugs them until their necks snap, leaving them paralyzed. He then explains that although they have the bodies of humans, they can heal themselves by drinking blood. Once they fully recover after sipping blood given by Kishibe, Denji questions why he did that. Kishibe replies by saying for whatever reason, the gun devil is after Denji's heart, and Makima sees Denji as too weak. He adds on that because he is the strongest devil hunter, the devils that defeat him will in turn be the strongest devils. So basically, Denji and Power will be abused by Kishibe until they beat him. Only then will their training be finished. The two believe that Kishibe is crazy and get ready to fight. Before they can even react, Kishibe gets to stab in Denji and slices Power's throat. Kishibe states that Denji is immortal, but Power is half immortal and their method of attack is too barbaric. On the bright side for Kishibe, he's always wanted toys that he couldn't break, and is motivated to make Power and Denji the greatest duo ever. Back at the hospital, Aki's trying to summon his fox devil, but it's not working. Kurose and Tendo explain that because he lost the devil's trust, it will no longer listen to Aki. They also explain that he only has a few more times he can use his sword. They then ask Aki if he's going to quit devil hunting, and if he isn't, he needs to find a stronger devil to work with. Aki tells the two that the devil that killed his family and loved ones is still out there, so he's going to continue hunting devils. Kurose and Tendo leave the room and a mysterious woman enters the room, leaving Aki with a shocked expression. Once nightfall arrives, Kishibe tells Power and Denji that he will be at their apartment tomorrow to continue training. Power and Denji are on the ground, bruised and battered. They got beat up good. Denji asks Power how many times he had been killed, and she replied that he died at least 20 times, but she's not sure. On the way back, the two started scheming some ways of beating Kishibe, and Power comes up with a great idea. Because Kishibe frequently drinks alcohol, his brain should be rotten. Therefore, the two should use their brain to defeat him. Denji agrees with the plan and states that he feels smarter already. The following day comes and Power and Denji rock some glasses to look smarter and set up some traps for Kishibe. As Kishibe opens the door, Power throws a blood spear at him, but he dodges it. Power then brings a flurry of blood spears down on Kishibe, who manages to break them all. Denji swoops in from the top floor with an axe, but Kishibe knocks him out with a kick. Kishibe breaks down why their sneak attack didn't work. Power used too much blood, which made her unable to react, and Denji didn't anticipate Kishibe's attack. Kishibe tells the two that it was a noble effort and that they're done for the day. Denji brings Power up to speed and she is elated. Soon after, Kishibe throws a knife at Denji's head, stating that the hunted should never trust a hunter. Kurose and Tendo bring Aki to a facility where they house devils that public safety captures. Kurose asks if the girl that entered the hospital room was his girlfriend, but he denies it, stating that it was Himino's sister. Kurose then asks if she hit Aki, and he replies that that wasn't the case. Himino's sister was there to deliver letters written by Himino detailing her hope that Aki would quit public safety. They arrive to the cell where Aki will try to make his new contract. Aki enters the cell and finds himself in front of the Future Devil. Episode 11. The Future Devil is a very interesting character. He's dancing by himself in the room saying the phrase, "The future rules," over and over again. He asks Aki to say the phrase with him, but Aki doesn't bite. Aki states that he's there to create a contract between himself and the Future Devil. A disappointed Future Devil asks him to put his head into his chest in order to see his future. This will determine whether or not he will form a contract with Aki. After a few moments, the Future Devil starts laughing. He then says that so long as he can live in Aki's eye, he will let him borrow his future powers. Aki's facial expression shows a bit of confusion, as he feels like he got off too easy with his contract. The Future Devil explains that his death in the future rules. He begins to go further in depth about his death, but Aki cuts him off and says he's not interested. Kishibe defeats Power and Denji for the millionth time and tells them that they're able to switch from training once a day to once a week. He then tells the two that they're planning an attack on Akane and Katana Man. The entirety of the new division will be involved. If the mission fails, then Power and Denji will be killed by Kishibe, but Denji lets Kishibe know he won't kill him as he was his first master. Time passes and Kishibe links up with Makima. She thanks him for training Power and Denji and hopes that he will continue his efforts. He replies that he's tired of training students that always end up dying, although he does admit that Power and Denji are talented. He also admits that in old age, he's getting attached to his students. Then Kishibe speaks about the shootings on all of the Tokyo divisions. He's not interested in the details or how many people will die in the process. All he cares about is that she is making moves with humanity's best interests in mind. She replies that she cares about saving as many people as possible, and that if they're successful, their division will be in public record. Consequently, they'll be able to move more freely and help more people. Kishibe looks her right in the eye and says she's full of you-know-what, and Makima, being the psychopath that she is, just smiles back at him. In their hideout, Akane and Katana Man are with their squad of men. Akane explains to her crew that even if Katana Man dies, he can be resurrected. We also find out that Katana Man's dead grandfather left his zombie army from episode 1 for his grandson. Elsewhere, Makima is in a meeting with the new boss for the Yakuza group that Katana Man is a part of. The boss explains that the shootings in her division were not ordered by him, but a group of rebels led by Akane. Makima asks for more details, and the boss explains that Akane most likely got the rebels' contracts with the Gun Devil. She then asks the boss for the names of everyone who made a contract with the Gun Devil, which he obliges to. Then she asks for the names of other members from other crime families, and he just cuts her off. He says, "You're insane if you think you're getting any of those names. If I do that, then a whole war will start up. And if that happens, that'll leave Japan wide open to any foreign crime families, who will be even more ruthless than us. We're a necessary evil in this country." Makima Uchiha then pulls out a paper lunch bag and just puts it on the table. The boss says he's not interested in a bribe, but she says that it's not money. She explains that it's the eyes of every lover, wife, relative, etc. in the room. Then this man opens the bag and sees that she isn't lying. She says that she can guide him to the specialist who can reattach the eyes if he cooperates. Then one of the men standing behind her grabs her getting ready to swing, but he stops midway. She pulls out her running gun, stares at him coldly until he starts bleeding from the nose and collapses. Makima then scoffs at the boss for suggesting that he's a necessary evil. She follows by saying that if he was, he would be on public safety's short leash. The special division and the police are outside Katana Man's hideout ready to pounce. Kishibe tells Aki that there's no plan of attack and that they just have to rush inside. Kishibe then explains to a few police officers about certain members in the special division. This is to prepare for the case in which they run away from the mission and the police need to kill them. The shark fiend, Beam, has the ability to swim through any surface and can transform his head into a shark. The violence fiend, Galgali, wears a gas mask that shoots out poisonous gas. This mask must stay on his face at all times. The spider devil, Princey, has the ability to use the power of bats. Nah, I'm playing. She can injure enemies using her spider powers. The angel devil, Angel, has no anger towards humans, but any physical contact shortens the lifespan of a target. All of the devils I just mentioned are fighting a zombie swarm as Aki and his team join them. Angel asks Aki for a handkerchief, and Aki obliges. Angel is surprised that a human would make such close contact with him. Aki responds by saying that it wasn't direct contact, so it's fine. A man tries to shoot Aki, but Angel blocks the bullet with his wing, and Aki knocks the man out cold. Aki orders Angel to take the man out of the building, and although Angel is mad that he's being ordered around, he prefers it to fighting. Aki then gathers up his team consisting of himself, Denji, Power, and Kobeni to go face Katana Man and Akane. They decide to split up and Aki goes to the 4th floor. While walking, a room opens up and a man tries to shoot him. Aki evades the bullet and knocks him out, but 4 more men come out ready to brawl. Aki sizes them up, but they all start to bleed from their noses and fall down similarly to how the Yakuza member did when Makima looked at him. Aki eventually finds Akane and asks her to surrender, but she brings out the snake devil and she commands it to spit. The snake devil spits out the ghost devil, and Akane tells it to attack Aki. It does so, and Aki defends himself using the future devil's power. As the name suggests, Aki can see into the near future, but Aki still has trouble and the ghost devil catches Aki off guard. As Aki is held captive, Akane orders the ghost devil to choke him to death. The final episode, episode 12, Katana vs. Chainsaw. While the ghost devil is choking out Aki, he thinks back to a time when he and Himino were eating in a restaurant. She coerces him into smoking a cigarette, but he says she should be ashamed since he's a minor that shouldn't be smoking. Not knowing this information, she took the cigarette back and says she'll give him the cigarette back when he's older and needs to decompress. Cut back to present Aki, the ghost devil lets go of Aki and hands him a cigarette. Cautiously, he inspects the cigarette and sees it has the word Easy Revenge written on it. His eyes expand as he remembers Himino explaining the weakness of the ghost devil to him in the past. The ghost devil has no vision, so it can only sense fear. So if the target is not fearful, it cannot sense the target. With this knowledge in mind, he puts the cigarette away in his pocket and slices the ghost devil's head clean off. Akane begins to summon the snake devil, but the most improved player of the NBA, Kobeni, comes in clutch. She a hooper for real. She had Akane in that defensive lockdown position. Aki asks Kobeni why she didn't quit the force, and she replies softly that bonuses were right around the corner. Can't fault her for trying to secure the bag, I respect it. Meanwhile, Power and Denji are bickering like siblings until they reach a floor full of zombies. Denji states that if they don't make any sounds, the zombies won't notice them. Power starts grinning and shouts her war cry. She tells Denji to hold her 6 and watch greatness occur as she summons blood weapons and starts hacking away at the zombies. Denji, dumbfounded that Power didn't listen to him, just left her to fight alone as he went upwards in the elevator to the floor of Katana Man. Once he reaches the floor, the Katana Man strikes an offer with Denji. He says that so long as Denji sacrifices himself for atonement for killing his grandfather, the fighting will stop. Denji ain't trying to hear none of that. He said, I do not regret killing your grandfather, little bro. He was possessed by the zombie devil and he was gonna hurt people. Katana Man replies, you don't even feel a tad bit guilty? I killed a zombie by accident and I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. Denji grows tired of talking and he just wants to start boxing. So they transform and jump off the building onto a train. Katana Man asks Denji why he's fighting, and Denji replies that he's trying to protect his lifestyle, which is interesting character development. Throughout the show, his motivation constantly changes. He goes from fighting for Makima, to a date with power, to chicken pesto sandwiches with Himeno, to wanting to protect his life. It's not revolutionary per se, but it's nice to see this development be realistic, as that's usually how life goes. Your reasoning for doing things often changes as life goes on. Katana Man and Denji keep exchanging blows until Katana Man gains the upper hand and slams Denji into the train carriage. Katana Man then slices both of Denji's arm and demands that he surrenders and apologizes for the death of his grandfather. Denji does not care and says so long as he has a chainsaw, he will continue to fight. The two exchange a final blow. Katana Man asks if his grandfather taught him how to quit as Denji's chainsaw breaks down. Denji replies asking if his grandfather taught him that the hunted should never trust the hunter, as Katana Man splits into two. Denji looks down at his right leg, which is revealed to have turned into a chainsaw, and was what landed the final blow. Some time passes, and Katana Man wakes up to find himself chained to the train as Denji keeps watch over his body. Denji states that he needs to wait for the police to arrive, but he also notes that he's upset that he killed Himeno. So he announces that he will be holding a tournament. Aki, who just arrived, asks Denji what the tournament entails. Denji just smiles at Aki and yells, "Woo!" Aki at first detests the idea. He says that taking revenge is not what Himeno would want. Then Aki looks down at the cigarette the Ghost Devil gave him and yells, "Woo!" as the two take turns hitting Katana Man in his privates. Elsewhere, Makima is in a meeting with the higher-ups. She explains that the terrorist attack was organized by an ex-civilian devil hunter, Akane Sawatari. Akane made a contract with the Gun Devil and in turn gave guns to the Yakuza. In exchange, Akane wanted the heart of the Chainsaw Devil. The higher-ups ask Makima why Akane wanted that specific heart, but Makima states that the Snake Devil killed Akane before they could ask her. This was most likely due to her contract with the Gun Devil. She also reports that they found a lot of Gun Devil flesh. She also mentioned that public safety finally had enough flesh to locate the Gun Devil itself. Back at Aki's apartment, the gang is celebrating after their successful mission. Aki is outside on the balcony smoking the cigarette given to him by the Ghost Devil. Inside, Denji is having his recurring dream with the door, but this time he hears Pochita speaking to him. Pochita tells him to never open the door. And this is why I'm so upset. Pochita is adorable. I just want to pet him. He's a good boy. But my man is afraid of a door? For real. This is what we've come to? This man is afraid of a door. All I'm saying is that Puck ain't afraid of no doors. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Matter of fact, Pochita washes. Like, for real, washes. Like, come on. Oh my gosh! I've been flabbergasted. I've been bamboozled. After watching episode 12, I told Jack how I felt about Pochita, and he was a little bit upset. But overall, though, Chainsaw Man was a good watch. It's just that I was having such a good time watching feel-good anime. Like this one. Words bubble up like soda pop. She's nervous about her braces. That's it. That's the whole anime. It's harmless. And then Jack just comes in like, hey yo, feelings. Regardless, I am looking forward to season 2, but I will be more cautious about taking anime recommendations in the future.